morning, everyone, and welcome back to El Barrio. My name is Ralph Hernandez, and thank you so much for watching. I know it's kind of early in the morning, but we have a lot of interesting stuff to say in the morning, and that's when you do your best thinking. It's early in the morning, so you should get up early in the morning, right? Absolutely. We have two very special guests here today. We have two city court judges, the Honorable Joseph Fiorella and the Honorable Susan Eagan, who was just recently appointed to the city court, and we're asking them various different questions regarding their job and their role in the judicial process. And we're taking turns with Amona, who's agreed to do the interview with me. Thank you so much for that. My pleasure. Okay, so now we're back to the round of questions. You're on.
I recently read that you joined the NAACP. Why is that organization of some importance to you?
Well, I think they do, they're obviously a very historic organization, and the work they do is so important because it really creates opportunities and advocates for a population that is often underserved. And I think as a society and a community, we're all in this together. And so whenever anyone is advanced, we as a community are advanced. And so I really admire the work that they've done, and I believe in their mission.
Judge Fiorella, how would you prepare yourself to handle cases involving unfamiliar areas of the law? I mean, there's such a large area of the law, so many different disciplines in so many different ways. Let's say you got a case that is not something that you do normally. How would you prepare yourself?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We do come across some, Judge Eagan just mentioned that she's doing motions in special term. There you get a lot of diverse issues. It's civil cases where something you may have not touched before in your practice. I myself had a very long legal practice before I became a judge. I'm a lawyer now 32 years, so the last 10 of them I've been a judge, so it was 22 years that I practiced law, and I did do a lot of civil work. But to answer your question, the way I would approach it is I would read the case thoroughly, try to get familiar with the facts and circumstances of the case, and then do the research on the legal issues that were before me. And in Buffalo City Court, we're also blessed to have a legal staff there where they act as clerks, research clerks, and things of that nature, where we could go to them and discuss issues that we have before us. And the other thing I would do is talk to other judges. As Judge Eagan just mentioned, she's an expert in the ethics issue. If I had a question on that, I'd go see her first. We have some judges that are on the ethics committee, serve in New York City. You could go to them on a question like that. But so there are avenues that we could fulfill whatever questions. I think that we could come up with any solution to a question that comes before us with the resources that we have around us.
Good, good. Mom?
What is the percentage that you would say of whites, blacks, Hispanics that you see in your courtroom on a regular basis?
Composition of the population or the percentages? Or?
Is that my question or Judge Eagan's question?
Well,
take it. Sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would say it's fairly evenly distributed, and that may surprise people. And I mean, Judge Fiorella's been doing more intakes than I have. I've had one intake so far, and I'm getting ready to go back into intake, and that's the cycle that he discussed where we arraign the cases. But I have a very diverse group of defendants this past time, and including some of the newly immigrated populations, and and so it's very. It was a very diverse population, absolutely.
Judge Fiorella, I'll ask you, so we'll stay right on that, the issues of minority. What do you believe are the causes of the high rates of minority incarceration? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it all, Ralph, I think it all goes back. My wife was a teacher for 35 years, so she used to tell me, she used to beat it into my head. Family, family, family. And I think that that's a great big part of the problem we have in city court, is that many of the defendants that come before us do not have a family in the nature that we have come to understand that. They don't have a father figure in their life. The mother sometimes cannot control that person, especially if they're young and insolent. And there is no one in their family that can control them and teach them the right way. And I think it's all a breakdown. It all stems from a breakdown of the family. They leave school because of that breakdown. And then in order to make some money, the easiest way to make money on the street is through drugs. Right. We all know that, and it's an unfortunate thing, but that's the reality that we have here in Buffalo. They instead of going to work at McDonald's and make minimum wage, it's $6 an hour or whatever the minimum wage is now, it's easier for them to start selling on the streets where they could make, 10 times that money.
Right. But in relation to that question also, do judges see intervention by family members appearing in court or being there with
we do see it, and we welcome them. We welcome it like you would not believe.
Okay, so you see that's a big positive thing.
We like it. We and to turn a child around or a young adult around, it takes it takes a neighborhood. I mean, it really does. And we have some resources at City Court that I use extensively, and I'm sure Judge Eagan will also, such as what we call the courts program, which is a referral program for us that drugs, alcohol, anger management, those type of things. We could send a person through that program. It's usually cost-free, and that helps. And then if a parent is involved, we could bounce things off of them. You want this child back home today, or do you want him to spend a night in jail? And I ask those questions. When they come before me, I ask. Sometimes the mother will say, he needs to go to jail, he needs to get help for his drug problem, he needs whatever help they think he needs.
But if you do
as you know, being on the school board, we get a lot of kids right from school now that assault their principal, assistant principal, teacher.
Or another student.
I would never think of that.
Or another student.
Or another student.
Right.
And if I may, as you do see fit, you do offer alternatives to incarceration?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, and one of the things, Ralph, that I was very impressed with when I got to City Court is the partnership that we in City Court have with the school system. And we have people sitting in the intake parts that identify Buffalo Public School kids when they're arrested. And then we work together, if we're trying to get them back into school. They give me the report that says how many days they were actually back in school since I last saw them, because they, anyone can come before you and say, oh yeah, I'm going to school every day. But then you've got the report, and you can see whether there's been progress, and that's been very helpful to me.
Great, super. We are going to take a short break, and then we're going to come right back. So we'll see you in a few. Don't go nowhere.